And we are live. Good morning, Rich. How are you?
Morning, much better today. I was a little bit ill, but much better.
That's great. So, we're kicking off episode number 6 on the HIT show, which stands for Human Investment Technology, where the most important investment is you. And where we talk about basically all things mindset, mind fitness, sports, music, entertainment, and of course, leading a healthy lifestyle. And today's topic, which was inspired by last week's conversation, talking about what makes you feel anxious. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that, basically in the casual sense, where we want to put a spotlight on, where does that feeling come from? How does it start? Because we all feel it, obviously, and it's a natural type of feeling. We're going to be joined by Andrea Gullick as well, who's going to be joining us very shortly. And so let's kick things off right now as people begin to come in and watch our show. For some of the repeated listeners and audience members, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to provide a lot of value during this show when we talk about, just certain stuff that we all go through, and perhaps share some tips and techniques and stuff like that would help people along. Very simple stuff, creating a nice casual atmosphere where we can talk about mental health, because it's very, very important. And if you ask any one of us, it's probably the most important, which is exactly why we created this type of show called HIT. So get your HIT on human investment technology, because we all feel we're a product of software and hardware of this lovely, magnificent machine called the human body, human being, which is capable of absolute potential, power, magnificence. So, Rich, sharing the stage with you, how do you feel about feeling anxious?
Well, before we go to that, I just want to at least frame that we are not doctors. So just you know, whatever tips we give, etc., come from the world of neuroscience, which we're both qualified in. But we're not doctors, so we need to frame that, and I mentioned that obviously. Um, because I wanted to talk about anxiety today, and those that have had anxiety now, who haven't had anxiety, don't know what it's really like until you actually have anxiety. It's a hard one to talk about, because a lot of the times you could look quite normal, but yet you've got this massive anxiety. So what makes you anxious? So in my opinion, usually it's a fear. And what type of fear is it? Is it a fear of getting another panic attack, or of getting, um, you know, um, do you know what I mean? So these are the sort of things I want to talk about. What makes you anxious? So you could be getting anxious. You could be, it could be before a big game, let's say. Okay, and that's one example of getting anxious. But I think more on the medical side of things, like more on the things of getting you really anxious, where it's creating a negative state. That's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, great. Well, that's it. I mean, you mentioned something about sports, getting ready for a game. Maybe it's getting ready for a job interview. Maybe it's getting ready for just simply the future, because we don't know what's happening. We are going through a kind of a global shift. Depends who you ask, but when we're talking about what's in store for us, and usually people that feel that have reported, it's stuff that's happening in the future. So basically, events that hasn't really happened yet, and so we feel anxious about it. So um, going back to that point, I mean, we're not doctors, we're not psychologists, we're just basically coming from the world of NLP hypnosis, where we've learned some really cool tips and techniques and tools that we could share to overcome that or handle that much, much better. Because a healthy dose of being anxious is okay. I mean, just before starting, this show, I felt a little bit anxious, in a good way, because I was excited. So I was having fun doing it. So we're going to talk about the differences between feeling excited about something where you enjoy it, as opposed to absolutely dreading it. It's like,
Can I say that there is not much of a difference between excitement and fear? Do you know that? So
Yep.
your heart races when you're excited. Your heart races when you're fearful. You could perspirate when you're excited and when you're fearful. So there's a whole bunch of different things that are very similar. And the question is, I've worked with some kids before where they say, I get scared before I do an exam. So you're getting
You there,
scared?
Rich?
Yeah. Oh, a big hello to the girls. Just seeing their names come up now. Gina and Lana. Nice to have you guys on. And the Rocco's in the house too, which is great. Fear of the unknown. Yep. So what I was saying is that sometimes we can get confused between excitement and fear. Does that make sense? And I've worked with so many kids before their year 12 exams or whatever it is, where we change that feeling between fear and excitement, because there's a natural butterflies type of things that you get when you're when you're excited, and people can miss that, I've got
Very
all
true.
the blue squad are in the house at the moment.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Lana. Hey, Rocco. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Gina. Thanks for joining us again. We're talking about what makes you feel anxious. And like you said, Rich, I mean, they both kind of share the same type of energy. And basically, how are you using it, really? Like I said, I mean, I feel anxiously excited about, doing this show or doing something that I really like to do. And it gives me a nice feeling of excitement and stuff like that. So, which is cool. And it's just really making that that distinction between both. It's like, are you dreading it? Is it always on your mind? Because an increased dose of feeling anxious could mean that you won't be able to do something. You're unable to act. And when you're unable to act, then you're not really fulfilling what you really want to do. So we're going to be taking some questions. We love the interaction, especially from last week. It was a great session where we had an interaction with people. I want to go up to something, a comment that this one.
Can you just check your internet connection? Just check your internet connection. Just it's just gone a bit funny.
How about that?
Yeah, you're all right now. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to put up Lana's comment here: irrational fear versus rational fear. Of course, feeling anxious could, stem from feeling, a sense of fear. And of course, we're not talking about fear per se for this episode, but you're right. What's rational? What's irrational? What's rational is if I'm standing on the top of a 30-story building looking down, that's a rational fear, right? If I'm in the middle of traffic, that's another rational fear, or a car waiting to come and hit me. But we're talking about that feeling of feeling anxious. It's like, what's going to happen next? It's uncertain. It's about the future. What's going to happen? What's going on? And I found that, just to put it out there, is when I'm feeling not prepared, like I'm not prepared as well, I feel very anxious because I don't know what to expect, what I'm gonna do. And I noticed that people have reported, the people that we've seen, it's like the level of being prepared is not 100%, or they feel, really, really anxious. A high dose of anxiety kicks in and stuff like that about the future. I want to share one quick technique a little bit later in the show. So keep joining us to talk about just certain tools, techniques that we can do. Very fun ways, especially for those who like to visualize and imagine and stuff like that. It's really cool. And so moving on, we've got the team here as well. I'm sporting a hat, not the Carlton team, of course.
I love the way you say Carlton. Really. By the way, you sent me a nice picture of the Carlton Hotel the other day, just representing the Blues. Well, I mean, you get that anxiety. It can even happen in a football game. You're watching a game and it's close, and I mean, is that irrational? Or I'm more talking about anyone that's experienced anxiety, and there'll be some people that have experienced it here or haven't. What I tend to say is you can be alert but not alarmed. This is where you just got to change the wording of what the situation is. So anxiety is a real thing. There's some techniques that we do. I've helped so many people with anxiety, and to deal with that. And usually, most of the times, it's got to do with a negative emotion of fear. You have the fear of the unknown. What's uncertainty, and it's a bunch of baggage that you've had that you've gone. It's like this. It's like having a big bucket of water, and then you've gone over your threshold, and then it kicks in. Anxiety kicks in. So you got to clean out. You got to remove that water, bring it back down. Does that make sense, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I'm going to open it up there because I like the interaction, and the reason I want to connect with the audience is to tell us what you feel anxious about. Give us some comments, because, like I said, it could be a job interview, it could be a play, it could be something that is in the future that hasn't happened yet, or right now, something that you're experiencing right now. Let us know what that is to you. What does feeling anxious mean to you? Do you feel anxious? It's a big topic, especially for those people that we see in the business world. I know, Rich, you mentioned it in the sports world as well, because especially when pressure is mounting and you want to play a good game, and so feeling anxious is real. Is there? We've got a comment from Di. Sorry, I may have missed it, but it's important to recognize that anxiety represents differently in everyone. Yeah, true.
Yeah, of course. It's the way you process it, and what it means to you might be meaning to someone else. Anxiety is actually a real thing because it's an internal system that gives us a response to particular stimuli that's happening out there. It's an alert. It's an alert, not an alarm. That's the difference. There's a difference there. That anxiety, it's actually good. It gives you a rush. Does that make sense? So I'd like people to put comments in there and tell us what you think. Please like, share, of course. But yeah, if you've got some experience with some anxiety, or what makes you feel anxious and that you're having struggles to deal with it, put it out there. If you don't want us to discuss it, or put your name up there, we don't have to. So just mention in comment. Please don't mention my name or whatever, but we can deal with it. Because it's a real thing, and we've got some amazing techniques to help people with anxiety. See, most people, what they do is when they're dealing with anxiety or feeling anxious, they usually take a stimuli. So it could be smoking weed, having a cigarette,
alcohol,
wine, beer, a whole bunch of different things, just to relax that. You know what I mean? Or taking medication, right? Some of the medication, of course, works too, which I'm not going to get into that too much. But what if we could tell you that there's a natural way of relieving that anxiousness? And usually, that what we're here to talk about with human investment technology is that those emotions that are repressed might have happened to you when you were 10 years old, 15 years old. You've repressed them, and they trigger things unconsciously. A whole bunch of different things happen to you. You could lose a job, or a bunch of different things, and then all of a sudden you're saying, "Why? Why is that happening to me now?" So what I'm here to tell you is that it's actually putting your hand up and saying, "Okay, I'm ready to get rid of this anxiousness, but irrational anxiousness." Being anxious, if it's healthy, you could. I think you would agree, Sam. You can have that sort of like healthiness of, like an adrenaline. Adrenaline is not a bad thing. It's not bad. It gets you going. And some people work well during that too. So, and some people go the opposite way. So I think we should talk about some techniques that we do. Maybe the tongue behind the teeth. You know about that one?
Yeah, the one that you mentioned before. That's a quick one. That's something that you can do to get grounded, really in the present moment. So I think that helps. I think you're absolutely right. I think when you talk about feeling anxious, it's like, we're playing a narrative. We've got some comments coming in. Before we jump on those, though, we're playing a narrative. Especially, I met a client. Okay, she had a problem where the what if situation came up. Like, what if this goes wrong? What if that doesn't work out? What if, they don't like me? What if? So there was a fairly high dose of anxiety around the future of what if. And then so that narrative kept on playing in her mind. And the moment I asked her, I said, what if it actually goes right? Like, what if you actually do very well? I mean, those are just presuppositions, right? Like, we're presupposing that something actually works really well for you. And she hadn't had enough time to really process that because it wasn't part of her narrative. Like, she never really used to think that way. But the moment you start thinking that way a little bit longer, like, what if this actually goes well? Like, what if I, feel good about this later? And so it goes both ways. And the moment she started to really consider the what if, going very well, feeling excited in a good way, something shifted in her. She felt better about things. She felt more calm. And in fact, she felt more grounded. So it's really the way we think about and process the situation of what's going to happen in the future and what could potentially go right instead of just wrong. Because let's face it, we default to feeling bad because our unconscious or subconscious mind is constantly looking out for threats, okay, for survival. But the moment we ask ourselves that, listen, you know what? I feel pretty good now. Things are kind of calm, okay? Not perfect, but they're calm and I feel pretty good. Then what if this actually works out, What if I can create a new narrative right now where I can start to shift internally and I don't have to feel this way. I can feel better. I can feel more happy. I can feel more excited. So you're anxious, but you're channeling that new energy towards excitement, towards possibility, towards growth, optimism. So that's the narrative of what if, because it could go the other way. You could actually feel great about it. Things could actually go beyond your expectations, And so we're really focusing our energy because where the mind goes, energy flows, right? And we're really pouring into the possibility of this could go really, really well. So I want to share that.
All right, Sam, you need to check your internet connection. I reckon you should put, all right, let's have a look at this comment. So Di says here, as a mum, I've noticed that when the kids get anxiety, you can stop them in their tracks. They fear the feeling. It's important to recognize it is anxiety. And as you said, Rash, those feelings are an alert and there's no need to be alarmed. I wonder if there's many adults who allow anxiety to stop them from living to their full potential. Absolutely. You can take that down now. Let's talk about that. Do you want to just talk about that first, Sam?
Yeah, let's talk about, yeah, sure. Let's talk about that. Let's going back to that comment. Thanks, Di. You're right. It is a feeling, but and it's also sometimes with people, it also starts off as just a thought. It doesn't hit a feeling yet. The moment they think it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we don't know what's happening and stuff like that. But you're right. And many people, it's a visceral type of kinesthetic feeling where you feel it and you get the butterflies, as they say. And, it does stop people. Actually, it stops a lot of people. From the people that I've seen, anxiety is up there, definitely up there. And we have to call it out. We have to call it what it is. Right now, we're going through a shift.
Yeah. Because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. So learning how to work with anxiety, and calling it out, really, putting a spotlight and saying, you know what, there's nothing wrong with feeling a little bit anxious about something, but only when you make the distinction that it's something that excites you, because it's the same kind of energy. If it doesn't excite you, then basically what you're doing is amplifying something that's keeping you stuck from doing stuff in the future.
Can I just say that one thing is that what causes that is usually an experience. So I've worked with footballers, and they might have had a bad, just a bad disposal or whatever it is. Coach has said something to him. He's processed it differently. It's caused him a little bit fear not to stuff up again, whatever it is. And I've dealt with some young footballers also. And if you just do some storytelling, and I think what our job is to do, and we've got little techniques that we can show also, but if we can give them some storytelling and guide them of hey, it's okay. You could be alert. Change your wording from alert to alarm. These are little simple techniques. The other one is that we talk about, if you try this, just put your tongue right behind your teeth, like so. Anytime you're feeling anxiety, for whatever it is, it feels like it's a reset button. It just calms you down. There's other things where if you look up, like we discussed last week, it's very hard to feel crap when you're looking up like so, So there's a whole bunch of different things. Just take a chill, surround yourself with good people, watch good podcasts, and a whole bunch of different things. But there's an array of things that affect.
I got a cool technique, Rich. I got a cool technique. Is if you're sitting down right now and watching this, close your hands together, okay, and just rest your arms on your lap, okay, and then you can either do this with your eyes open or eyes closed, and just make sure that your hands are kind of closed and locked together, okay, and when you do that, all of a sudden you'll feel grounded. You will be grounded. Notice the sensation of the chair that's underneath you. Notice the sensation of your feet touching the floor. Notice the sensation as both your hands are touching each other. And then notice the sensation of your breathing. And that immediately grounds you into the present, okay? Don't put your hands apart. Make sure that they're touching, okay? And just notice that sensation while you're in that present moment. How's my picture, Rich? Is it still
better? It's okay. You're cutting out a little bit. I'm not sure if your new cable you're using it or not. There's a couple of comments here. I just want to finish off on Di's comment there. There is so many people, adults that are absolutely limiting themselves from anxiety and just don't know how to deal with it. And and the old especially coming from Australia, you'll be right, mate. That's not a real thing or whatever. Used to be like that. I think now people are starting to realize that mental health is a serious thing. But dealing with that, reaching out to people that have are qualified in this to help you, and as much as look, I've been there myself, and I've tried out the tablets, and did it work? Yes, it did. But I totally recommend people to not use tablets as much as you can, and not to rely on that, because there is natural ways of dealing with it and overcoming it. There's a good comment here by Rocco. What about being anxious but not knowing why? I'm there at the moment. That's a really, really interesting. I'm sure that people get that. They're just not, but being anxious is this inner feeling of something's not right. What is it? But it's a guided system. Do you agree there, Sam? So it's a system to try to tell you, something. Now, I'm not saying that system can't fault, right? Because it does. Because when you get anxiety, and then it could lead to a panic attack also with a high level. But not knowing what it is a serious thing. Like, do you know what I mean? So like, how do we shift that to try to work out? All right, he's gone. Sam is actually out at the moment. Let me just put him back in.
Oh no, no, I'm here. I'm here. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You're playing around with the controls, my friend.
Yeah, yeah. I'm playing around with the controls because I want to give you the spotlight. But to add to your point, Rich, you're absolutely right. I think it's that point where you can actually notice. I mean, what is it trying to tell me? What do I feel a little bit antsy about? What do I feel a little bit jittery about? And the answer is,
Yeah, but you don't know
yeah.
what it is. Like, what is it? Like, if you don't know what it is, it's a great question.
Well, like we said earlier on, Rocco, we found that, and you can look this up as well, that a lot of stuff that are related to feeling anxious or anxiety is related to something in the future, something that hasn't happened yet. It's something like a narrative that we keep playing in our minds of potentially what could go wrong, and stuff like that. So it's fine to have a healthy dose of feeling anxious when it's a good feeling. So if you want to ask yourself, is this feeling I'm feeling right now, is it something that's to come that makes me feel a little bit excited? Like, before talking to a bunch of people on stage, maybe it's a new interview, meeting someone for the first time. So ask yourself that question. If it's something that doesn't make you feel good because it's either horrible or terrifying or scared, then perhaps you want to ground yourself a little bit more into the present moment. And then maybe ask yourself some even deeper questions like, what is this trying to tell me? How can I pivot maybe? So I think we have a compass, there's a GPS in our system that constantly looks out. They're like two antennas, constantly looking out for any form of threats, any form of excitement, something that will, what we want to add to our story. So ask yourself those questions. I hope that's helped.
Can I just say one more point onto that? Is that, and I'll talk to Rocco separately on this, but what I tend to do is if you ask the quality questions, right? The actual quality questions, and I'm happy to do that with Rocco at a later stage. You might just uncover what you're anxious about. Now, it's harder sometimes to do it on yourself. When you get someone to guide you and just put you into a little bit of a, let's call it maybe a hypnotic state. And, there's a famous quote, I don't know if you've heard it, the quality of the questions you ask determine the quality of your life. So when you ask the right questions, even if you don't know what it is, but you can actually uncover it. Some of the times that anxiety feeling is something that could be hidden somewhere. It's like, imagine like a computer. You've got that file, but it's hidden. You know what I mean? So we just got to uncover that. For whatever reason, that anxiety is giving you a signal. And that signal, with some searching, you will find out what that signal is. Quick thing, Andrea will be joining us in about 5 minutes. She just sent me a message. I'm a bit anxious to have her on. So yeah, there's another question that she said, I think, is an anxiety the same as a panic attack? Okay, so let me answer that. No, I think what anxiety, when it goes to a higher level, can lead to a panic attack, right? So what we're saying is anxiety is not a bad thing. Anxiety is something we're all born with. Like we're born with, as they say, what is it? What's that freeze? Sam, you know what it is. Freeze, like, there's a bear in the woods. You either freeze,
Flight,
run,
yeah, flight or make friends.
Exactly. So it's not like we're born with that. But if you don't deal with it and you just suppress it, and this is why you need some guidance in that way to remove the baggage. Because what happens is the baggage needs to get cleaned out so you don't reach a panic attack. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can I also expand on that a little bit? Anxiety, it leads to a panic attack. But anxiety is that state where if you do, like Rich said, suppress it over time, like get on with it, and you suppress it, all of a sudden it's like a pressure cooker waiting to kind of
exactly.
And so that pressure cooker could blow at any given time. And like you were saying, Gina, you were at, I'm going to put your comment up right now. My first panic attack was in a fish and chip shop, not anxious at all. They put it down to my past, what I'd been going through. Go figure. Mine was the past, they said. Well, in many ways it is, because it's all sitting unconscious, which means that you're not conscious to it. And so when you keep suppressing it, more, day after day after day, all of a sudden it's this pressure cooker. It's just one day is going to blow up. And you could be at a bus stop. You could be sitting quietly watching the telly, like what happened to me in 2010. I was literally sitting there watching the telly, and out of nowhere, I just started to get palpitations, out of nowhere. There was nothing wrong with my vital organs or anything. It's just this mental, if you will, accumulation of pressure that needed to be released. And so, like Rich was saying, there are multiple ways of approaching this, understanding, where these narratives that hold energy lie in our unconscious mind, to let them free.
Yeah, can I just say, both of us have worked with so many people with anxiety, and we've helped many people. If you're ready to be coachable, I can guarantee you 110% that you can remove that anxiety. It all stems from the past.
If you want to.
If you're teachable and you're willing to change, right? Because sometimes that's just a moment. I've had the experience like you. I was actually doing what I love. I DJ, and I had a panic attack while I was DJing. I couldn't believe it. So I was worried about going to the toilet, and before the song would finish. Now, is it that moment that created it? No. It's just that I had the baggage. Even though I was coaching people with anxiety. It's weird. But it made me a better coach with anxiety because I was able to experience it properly. You know what I mean? Yeah, so did it come out of nowhere? It's like, what the hell, man? Why would that come up? So, but I ended up, and Sam knows that even when I was on medication, Sam is the guy that helped me get out of it, even though I knew how to deal with it. Again, anxiety or feeling anxious is about a future event, right? That's unknown. And you're thinking of the worst, correct? And we do techniques to take you into the future by putting you in the state to deal with that and for you to visualize it. The brain is amazing. When it sees it in for what it is, and you can visualize a different picture, all of a sudden things change. I mean, I was feeling anxious about jumping on today. I was telling Sam, I haven't been feeling well. I probably lost about a few kilos. The last couple of days I've been in bed. I was a bit sick, but
was it a good anxious, Rich? Like, did you feel a little tiny bit excited to be on the show, despite the?
I was excited. I'm always excited to jump on the show, but I was anxious because I've been in bed the last 2 days. I had my second shot, the vax. So, and the second shot's supposed to be a lot more harder. So. Mm-hmm. And yesterday, it was very tough. So, so I was a bit, bit anxious to come on and like, oh my God, can I finish this show since I haven't been able to really function the last 2 days. But I think this is,
you're back in action. So we've got Andrea joining us here. Andrea Gulick, a life coach and speaker as well. Hey, Andrea.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
How you doing? Not feeling great, mate. That's not good.
No, not at all, actually. Well, I'm better now. I'm better. But the last 2 days I've been in bed. Just,
No good, buddy.
But I'm better now. I actually, funny enough, I was telling Sam, we called the ambulance last night at around about 11:30. They came, they checked me out, but I was okay. In the end, they were like, it's funny because I was talking to Sam about it. I said, what is it about? What is it about when you throw up that almost like resets you? It's weird. Sorry.
Purging.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's so weird that as soon as that happened and I had a fever, as soon as that happened, bang, I was fine. So
yeah. What to do?
Welcome. The internal system, it just does it. It's weird. Isn't it?
No, it's normal. Why would it be weird that the body would know what to do? I'm curious.
No, it's not
about that.
weird, but I'm just saying, like, is that not weird? Is that amazing?
Yeah.
It's like we're talking
very
about being anxious and it's got this internal system that tells you fight, flight, or freeze, and we have this amazing internal system that regulates us. I think that's amazing. So yeah, but I'm much better now. I'm sweating a little bit still, but it's only because it's like 35 degrees.
I was going to say, you live in the desert, mate.
I know. Well, good thing is, I hear you guys have daylight savings is kicked in. So our show is at 3:30 now. Is that correct?
No, not for us. Queensland don't participate in daylight savings. That's just New South Wales and Victoria. However, it's interesting because my husband's phone decided to participate. So Sunday morning, when my alarm was meant to be going off at 6 a.m., I got up and I thought, wow, like feels a bit different. And that's because it was 5 a.m. So that's okay. That was cool. So
very good, very good. So no, I think the Melburnians and Sydney siders, it's changed. So we're going to be on at 3:30 now. So yes. So Andrea, give us a bit of a rundown because you've just joined us. Just about what makes you feel anxious, and when you deal with people specifically, how do you? What sort of guidance do you give people? I think some of the listeners, because we had a really good comment before, like Rocco was saying, I feel anxious and I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You would get that, like some people feel anxious and they're trying to put their finger on it, going, okay, what is it? What is it? So I just want to hear your point of view, and since you've joined us, what you got to say about this particular topic.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That whole not knowing what it is, like what is it? I can feel it, but I'm not real sure, why. And I guess that's always my point of questioning and asking people to go within and go beneath, because there will be like some sort of story attached, I believe, around what they're feeling or why they're feeling it or what's happening. And it's just for me, it's a really great place to begin to have this conversation and be quite light in that, I guess, even though it can feel heavy because, first and foremost, I've suffered mental health myself. I suffered depression after my husband passed away, and I suffered severe postnatal anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder after I remarried and had a baby. So the feeling of mental health, like anybody that says you just got to snap out of it has never experienced it. There is no snapping out of it. Like dead set, that is the very obvious sign that someone has not felt it, because man, I would have done anything to be able to snap out of it. And it took time, and it took commitment, and it took, for me, a period of time on medication. And that's just the way that I had to get myself out of it. But now that I'm feeling quite good and well, and I have been for, near on 10 years now, I think it's just that being able to have a conversation and observe the feeling of it, I guess, and not knowing what's making me feel anxious. It's just that it's not obvious. It's that it's not at the surface. It hasn't come into your conscious awareness.
Yeah.
But it's in the subconscious, and it's being able to, you guys obviously have techniques that you use to be able to access that. I do a lot of deep questioning, a lot of sort of not regression work, but childhood inner child work, because a lot of the time I feel like what we're feeling in the present moment and what's making us anxious will be a revisit of when we were a small child, and revisiting those emotions. That's my belief, is that, and it's being able to, really connect those things, connect that. Oh, I promise I'll draw breath. I'm catching up for the half an hour I missed. I'm so sorry. But
that's cool. Sam, there's a comment by Di I want you to put up also.
Hey, Lana, thank you. That's lovely. I think we're all amazing, to be honest.
So this is what Di said. She says, Rocco, out of curiosity, what are your signs that let you know that you're anxious? This is a good question, because you've got to understand what the signs are also. And it's like what you're saying, it's hidden, and we don't know what it is, but it's a guidance system. So you turn a guidance system that says, hey, something, and it could be before it percolates and goes up. So I would say you got to deal with it. Do the questioning, get in there and deal with it.
Yeah, and I think just taking taking any pressure off needing to know, like, you know, okay, that's how you feel at the moment. Just like, you know, for me, I've often said that, like, if we're feeling happy or excited or fantastic or energetic or whatever, nobody ever tries to rush through that. Nobody ever goes, shit, I feel too happy, I should be feeling sadder than this.
Yeah.
But if we feel nervous or anxious or sad or overwhelmed, it's like, oh, this is not right, I've got to get to the other side of this. And it's like, it's just a feeling, it's an emotion, and what can we learn and what can we begin to understand about ourselves or our situation, or even the way in which we manage things, you know.
You know, there's you know, you could be from our world in the sports. I don't know. There's probably a few people would know. There's a player called Gary Rowan, plays for Geelong. This guy plays well during the season. Get him into the finals, he can't perform. It's unbelievable, and it's obvious it's a mental thing. It's being
so straight up, it'd be like, okay, what is he making it mean?
Correct.
There's this meaning of this, you know, and only we will know that. But what does it mean to not perform in the finals? Or what does it mean to not win these finals? Or what does it mean if we get this far, go so well? And like, I absolutely believe that it is the meaning that is attached to an experience that creates our feeling. And if you and that's what is so important to uncover, to be able to get then the method or the technique to be able to help shift through it. But if you don't know what you're making it mean about who you are, then you can apply different techniques over and over and over, and it'll be like a wash and repeat. If you can get to the absolute core of what you're making things mean about who you are, how it's impacting your identity, then all of those things that you can then use to soothe or calm or, you know, empower yourself will actually stick, is my belief.
Yeah. You know, that's very similar, Sam, and maybe you can explain about the NLP model, the way, and that's the meaning process, right? Maybe you can explain the way that works. What we do is that we work.
Yeah, I'm handling some controls here. That's why I'm keeping a little bit quiet. But thanks, Andrea, for great responses.
I better take over those controls sometimes so that you guys can, you know, like hash it out together.
Yeah, listen, I gave you the controls today because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do the whole show, to be honest.
Yeah,
because
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, to be honest with you. I actually made a video about handling controls. Puts me in a great mood. So I'm having fun doing this because I'm seeing the comments. I'm making your frames bigger. I feel like the director on a broadcast television, you know. And so it's really cool. You're getting a lot of great comments, Andrea, spot on. Sometimes you don't even know it pops up. But to your point, Andrea, there's something in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, where we call it reframe. It's reframing the meaning. And so before that, and this goes back to perhaps Rocco's question, how do you know when it happens? Like what do you do when you feel anxious? And I think it's just recognizing the patterns or the trigger and then asking yourself, hold on, I feel anxious when this happens to me normally. And just notice those patterns, and then you'll find out those triggers. And then when you do that, going back to your point, Andrea, it's like reframing it. What is this trying to tell me? What does this really mean? And is this stopping me from doing something specific that I either shouldn't be doing, or challenging myself to learn a little bit more about it so I can, you know, be a bit happier doing it, so to speak. Because we were touching on the topic of a lot of people feel anxiety when they're not prepared for something. So when you don't know your stuff, or you don't have that much background, you feel a big dose of anxiety, because what if people call you out? What if people reject you? What if people tell you something you're not prepared for? So that's another form of anxiety as well. So, and now this.
Can I just
Rich,
say?
You can, but just one second. Wait time. Guys, as part of the show, please like, share, subscribe, because we hope to bring this content to many people who this could help, where we can put the spotlight on this form of mental health, being suffering from feeling anxious or anxiety. And of course, we do have to remind you on the disclaimer that we're not psychologists, doctors, or part of the medical world. We're coaches that have learned various tools and techniques that have helped us in our life, and we continue to help people as well. Rich, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when you're mentioning these things, I think Andrea's inner truth, and that's why I wanted to talk to Andrea, maybe to talk about it. It trumps all, right? Because you can be anxious about something. What does that mean to you? But if you break down, maybe Andrea, you can, explain it. Can you do it much more eloquently than me? That, when you talk about the inner truth about you, who am I really? Maybe you can explain that. When you get down to the core of that, it really breaks down the anxiety, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess where I come from is that when we know who we are, we know who we're not. That's been one of my catchphrases for a really long time. And what I mean by that is, Sam, when you talk about, those things that can make people anxious about, or even you said, Rash, about the footy person that can, gets to finals and then they get shaky, or the person that has to do a presentation in front of people and they get shaky, or because of the rejection, or because of the criticism, or because of the judgment, or that is on the basis of that you are not rock solid in knowing who you are, regardless of how you perform or the way in which the outside world will view you. And so when you are like, and really focus on that, and I know that sounds too simplistic, but honestly, when we can really be rock solid in, well, who is Andrea? Despite what I do, despite that I'm a wife, a mum, a coach, a speaker, a friend, beneath all of those roles that we have that are exceptionally important, who am I? Like, as in, when I was born into this world, what did I come here to be? And I came here to be caring and kind and empathetic and strong and courageous, and that's who I am. Can I do shitty things like say the wrong thing or get annoyed at the wrong thing? Can I stuff up a public speaking thing? Can I change my mind constantly? Can I run late? Can I do a lot of things that maybe I go, oh, but it's not who I am. That's not who we are. And so even feeling anxious is not who you are. That's not your identity. That's a feeling you're having. And so that's why, to me, it's so important to do this identity work with people, to literally strip every single layer of what has been done, what belief has been picked up, what thing did embarrass you. Strip away all the layers that create that anxious feeling. Because what it will come down to, I will almost guarantee, when you boil it all up in a pot, it'll come down to, even if I do that or don't do that, am I still worthy of love? That's what we're searching for. That's what I believe we're searching for. Yeah. And people go, oh, love, oh, that. But I'm talking about that unconditional love where we are still accepted and still, a part of the herd, a part of our crew, irrespective of how we show up in life and whether we get it right or wrong, supposedly, if there's anything, I don't believe in mistakes. And that's important in terms of the outside world. Like, will we be unconditionally loved even if we kick a point when we should kick a goal and win a grand final? Can we still be loved unconditionally if, we stuff up or we do something where we could be judged or ridiculed or whatever? But the most important, absolutely fundamental, unconditional love that there could be is our own.
Yeah. Love towards ourselves.
Can we still be okay? If you stuff up the biggest thing that you're ever going for, or whatever, like make a decision, I don't know, let's go, not that I ever have, but let's go there. You cheat on someone. You do something that creates an interesting situation in your marriage, or you lie at your workplace, or you know, things that the world judges for, right?
Yeah.
Big things. Because little things we mostly can put in its place. It's usually bigger stuff, right?
Yeah.
Don't get the promotion, get sacked because we stuffed up a contract or something like that, whatever it is, you know.
Or we didn't get vaccinated. Anyway.
Yeah, like whatever. That's a, you know, like that's a hot topic. Let's not go there. But you know, but this is the thing. Can we still have acceptance and unconditional love and recognize the difference between who we are and what we do, and that they're actually separate things?
Who we are and what we do. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The difference. So is it bridging the gap or just going or bringing it back?
I just think recognizing that they're different. Like, because a lot of our identity, for the most part, people believe that their identity, or we intertwine our identity in what we do in our life. So my example always comes back to the trauma. I was a mum and a wife, and I had to face the fact that I maybe lose my baby, and I did become a widow. So my identity, I didn't know who I was without those roles. So you're high flying CEO. COVID, have a look at it. How many people losing their jobs, losing everything, whatever. And the one thing that will be entwined in most people will be that's who they are. Like, who am I now that I'm not doing that thing? If we know who we are and those things are added to that, they can fall away, break off, be taken, and the sense of our identity remains. That's not to say that it's painless. That's not to say that it's stress-free. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, one of the most painful things you will ever experience is waking up and not knowing who you are.
It's a really good comment from Lana there. She says here, I firmly believe we all start with as magnificent. We just get molded due to circumstances, fight back.
Yeah. And it's almost that remembering, like that's the journey that I like to take people on. It's a remembering. It's a remembering who you are before the world got to you. Because when you remember, mate, that's power in a nutshell. Because we are magnificent.
Yeah, and this is essentially what we do when we guide people as coaches. We get them to unlearn things and take them back to the real them, you know? Because I think, and that might sound a bit cheesy, but love conquers all. It's all about love. When you break it down, this is the one true emotion that we are absolutely born with. So, you know, we talk about 5 negative emotions that it can be irrational. It's anger, sadness, hurt, guilt, fear, right? They're the 5 negative emotions. The only real emotion is love. Sam?
Yep. Definitely. I think, and also what got me thinking as well while Andrea was talking was she had a really golden nugget. And Andrea, you remind us of that line. Do you remember? You posted it on the banner. Here we go. When you know who you are, you know who you are not. I think that's a powerful
gold.
That's gonna make the next video edit. That's what that's gonna be a gold.
It's true. When you boil it down to that simple thing, this is what so much of our anxiousness and those 5 emotions.
Yeah.
I believe that's because we are fighting against the truth of who we are, because there's a situation in our life that is showing up with who we're not. Does that make sense? Like we're in this kind of I can't think of the word, but it's like there's this disconnect, there's this situation or this experience that is not, it's not in alignment, it's not connected to the grassroots of who we are, to our soul. And so it gets so like irritating that we might feel anger or frustration or those 5 emotions. And when we take the time to actually sit back and go, well, who am I? Like, who do I believe that I am? What do I know is true about me? Then it's much easier to let these things go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use an example of, I do another show actually on a Friday. I've been doing it for 12 months with a beautiful lady from America.
Promote it, darling.
Oh, it's all cool. People can, find it. But she's taught me a lot, I knew a lot of stuff, but a lot of this coming home stuff and really has been through her guidance. And when I say I've always felt that when you know who you are, you know who you're not, like that's mine. I lay claim to that part. But the way that she explains it makes so much sense, is that when there's something outside of you happening where it feels like people aren't understanding, or, there's that feeling that might make you angry or frustrated and stuff like that. And let's just say, someone says, look, you don't know what you're talking about, Rash. Like you're so full of crap. Like that is so not true. Or you're selfish, or whatever those things are that you just like really hits you in the heart and makes you sit back and question.
Yeah.
She explained it. It's like, it'd be like me walking up to Sam and going, "G'day, Steve, how you going?" And Sam's going to go, well, either she's a dickhead or actually my name's Sam, because it doesn't fit. He knows his name's Sam. It's not Steve. He's not Steve. That's no different to someone that comes up and says, "You are so pig-headed and up yourself. You don't know what you're on about." It's almost like when you know that's not you, it's like they called you the wrong name. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
And it can be as simple as that. Or it's like, oh.
So can relate. Yeah. So can relate. I just want to your point, sorry, Andrea, to cut you off, but what I was trying to do is actually, that's super cool, because we're not our behavior. So if that was you yesterday, okay? We attach ourselves to this narrative, and we're not that behavior. We get connected with that behavior thinking that that's who we are, and we have to carry that narrative all the way through. But essentially, we are, that truth, that love, that magnificence, as Lana pointed out, where if we are, then we're experiencing different things in life. And if we're experiencing different things, then it's okay to feel what we feel, whatever that is, because we may not know what that feeling is like in the future. So we're experiencing it now and saying, you know what, let's give that a go. We're just experiencing this whole thing. And I think, to your point, Andrea, we are this, it that's experienced this life form throughout this world, without sounding too philosophical. But I wanted to segue into a quick exercise, if I may, on future.
We're going to wrap up soon. Yeah.
So you remember this, Rich? In NLP, we have this wonderful thing called future pacing, where what I'd like you to do, you can do this with your eyes open or closed, seated or relaxed. And while you are, I want you to imagine whatever you were anxious about, and just call it back in to your consciousness. Like, call it back in, be aware of it. Whatever that is to you, okay, just sit with that. And if you're happy to do so and safe to do so, then just, I want you to use the faculties of your imagination moving into the future. Okay, now this could be, like I said, a job interview. It could be someone you're meeting for the first time, maybe something else, whatever that means to you that's going to happen in the future. And I want you to just imagine and just only pretend that whatever's happening in the future, I want you to go there using some visualization techniques. Just go there, pretending that you're there. But this time, I want you to go about 10 or 15 minutes after that event, okay? So whatever that event was in the future, I want you to go there and go 10 to 15 minutes after that event, floating over and noticing that the event went incredibly well. Noticing that you feel happy about that result, that it went exactly as you expected it in a good way, getting all the rewards that you have, whatever that is, feel good about that result. Now, it could mean anything to you. Whatever that means to you, where you walk away and recreating a great event. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's meeting someone for the first time, whatever that is for you, it's perfectly fine. And notice just after that event, by about 10 or 15 minutes, notice you've expected and went beyond your expectation. Just notice what if that happened. Notice how you feel. I want you to take that feeling, okay? I want you to amplify it, where you're safe, secure, feeling great, feeling healthy, okay? And I want you to come back slowly to this present moment right now, okay? Just open your eyes when you feel ready. But that's a quick future pace of any event, any situation that you previously felt anxious about, actually going really, really well. And let us know what you felt in that exercise in the comments if you have that experience. And notice how you feel.
As long as people weren't driving and watching the show, that's okay. Because that would be pretty tough. You know?
Yeah, that's why I said. Yeah, no, that's why I said seated calm in a place you can do with your eyes open. But in a place, safe place, safe. I said safe. Okay, remember that. Cool. So that was a quick exercise we learned from NLP. Just a quick exercise where you're just using some visualization technique. And every time I do that, guy, I just feel so happy about everything. Like everything's just hunky-dory. Everything's just feeling great.
Must say, but anxiety is
You're still in trance. You guys are still in trance.
Yeah. Look, I'm looking at this comment from Di. She's mentioned there. I know you put it up. She said, I've spent years unraveling and unbecoming what the world molded me into to arrive to the true me. It's liberating. I love that. Very smart woman.
Very good.
And it so is. It's like there's almost this, like there's almost been this push in our industry, to be honest, about to be more, like to you know, to go and achieve your goals, get there, and there's almost this sense for me that I think that a lot of it is actually, what about less? Like less of the stories, less of the force, less of the, you know, come back and hear and feel what is true. Because the reality is, if you're chasing down someone else's dream, you're going to come last. Like really knowing, well, what do I want? Like what is the goal? Like for me, for my family, our biggest goal was to do less and live more simply. A couple of years ago, you know, we worked our kahutas off for years and then went, for what? And, you know, live 3 blocks from the beach at the moment and do a bit of relief teaching and hold some workshops and do some stuff. And that's the thing, because a lot of people wouldn't do what we did and walk away from everything with no clue of where the income was going to come from. But it was just what was right for us. And that's the thing, unraveling. And like Di said, like taking off all the layers of what other people want for us or wanted for us or expect of us is absolutely the most liberating thing. Less of the drama, absolutely. So yeah.
Cool. So cool. We're gonna be wrapping up soon, guys. As in typical fashion, we ask you, what do you think we should talk about next week? We had a lovely chat today talking about what makes us feel anxious, shared some cool techniques, and of course, Andrea dropped the golden nugget bomb.
Andrea, can you do me a favor? Because there's a couple of comments in the thing. Can you just tell us what the program is that you do on Sundays? So leave us a link so if anyone wants to watch that.
Sure. So it's Friday morning at 7 o'clock. So Friday morning, it's very similar to this. It's just very much more about it's really about love, to be honest. But so that's a Friday morning, 7 o'clock here. So that would be 8 o'clock in New South Wales and Victoria at the moment. And if I can be cheeky, and I know that you've said that to shout out whatever I need to. So I am going to do that because this is really, really important to me and really important to a lot of people. But Sunday, as in 2 weeks from last Sunday, so just over a week and a half, I have scheduled I'm doing a 2-hour workshop for teenagers. So they are done in time slots, as in year 7 and 8. So it's high school students, but year 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and then obviously year 11 and 12. And at the moment, it's just for girls. I'll work out whether boys are in need of the love and safety and security. I'm sure they are, but they're probably a little bit more timid about rocking up to speak about how they're feeling. But it is very much a workshop to support teenagers. I obviously have New South Wales and Victoria in mind. It's online. It's on a Zoom call. But pretty much just creating a safe space for them to be able to come and just talk about whatever they need to talk about, their apprehensions. And really, I guess what my driving thing is to ensure that they don't lose their identity, because developmentally they're only working out who they are, and that's hard enough without the chaos. Okay, so it's really about supporting them to close out what's happening around them and really be able to hear who they are and be able to build on that and hold them safe in that. So that is Sunday the 17th. The first one will be 10 o'clock in that time. Anyway, but I will pop a link in for that. That is on my Facebook page as well. But I'm sure everybody is aware that that's not really the place that I want to just run everything from, because there was a social media blackout today. So Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram all went down. So and WhatsApp went down as well. So I think that that's something that we probably all need to be a little bit mindful of. That where are we at if that all blows up and disappears. So, but if anybody is interested, if you know anyone, if you have teenagers yourself, if you have friends that have teenagers that are really struggling with the isolation that they've been through and the unsettled situation over the last 2 years, then I would really love for you to share that with them so that they can come and be a part of that.
Maybe Sam, you could put it in the comments. Like if you could just type in Andrea in the private chat, and then Sam can copy it into the comments and put it on the screen so we can keep it there.
Yeah,
so
cool.
What the link is?
I'm gonna share the Facebook link. I did a post on it, and so that they can see and just read a little bit about it, and then or I can just provide the link where they can just go. It's free. It's a free workshop, obviously, and I only take 6 per session. It's very intimate, so that I can, really just hold a safe space for them. So yeah, but I'll put both.
Awesome. Yeah, just share the link with me, and I'll put that over in the comment section. And so we brought you the show. We're going to be wrapping up right now. I've wrote down a couple of topics for next week. What makes people addicted to drama, and then what makes people treat others like trash. I think we'll go unanimously. We'll select one of those, and because there's a lot to talk about there, we're keeping the conversation very casual as part of the hit show. Get your hit on this program. When we talk about human investment technology, I'm sounding too much like a commentator, forgive me, but when the camera's on me, it's like, okay, now tune in, folks.
You're funny.
I'm trying to manage the controls here. So thank you very much, Lana and Gina and Di and Rocco, and everyone who has joined us. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. Thanks for sharing the questions and really adding to the conversation, because it's your comments that others could be feeling as well and probably don't want to ask right now, but they can definitely benefit from. So when you're ready, Andrea, let me know.
Yeah, sorry. This side of tech's not really my jam, but I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
Oh, God. So what did you say, Sam? While she's doing that, what did you say next week's episode might be. What was it?
What makes people addicted to drama? I think that's a real cool one. And the other one was, what makes people treat others like trash? And I think there's a lot to talk about for both of them. So we'll decide which one, and then we'll, start promoting it very shortly. And I think there's a lot to talk about. People can benefit from. Meanwhile, I hope everyone's, benefited from today's topic of what makes you feel anxious. We've shared a couple of cool techniques. We've made it an interactive chat. I'm going to be posting. Andrea's just given me the link for her Facebook page. I'm posting it right now. You'll find it in the chat. So you want to follow that. There you are. Okay. Thanks, Gina. Thanks, everyone. Really, I mean, it's intimate. Sorry, Rich, but it's a nice intimate group that we have here, and we want to make it grow. So please like, share, subscribe as well. Mention to your friends and your circle to join us because it's really cool. Andrea, you shared another link.
Yeah. So the second link is just the acuity. Like, so if, let's by chance say someone that's listening here is like, yep, I want my daughter in there. You can just go straight onto the link and just book in their seat through Acuity. The other one is a Facebook post that sort of talks a little about the session, so they can book through there as well. But yeah, but I would greatly appreciate if anybody knew anyone, just share it around. I think there's plenty of people in need, but sometimes it can just take getting the word out that way. So I'm a bit of a word by mouth girl, to be honest. So,
Sam, do you want to put that on the screen, because we're going to load this onto onto YouTube later, so they won't be able to see the comments. So just put it onto the screen if you can, both of those links. So then, for those who watch on YouTube, will be able to. This is for which? This is for.
So this is to just go and book a seat. This is just the bookings place. Whereas the other link is the Facebook page, and the Facebook page is, if anybody wants to tune into the other call, that's totally fine. That's on my Andrea Gullick page. So yeah.
What I recommend as well, and thanks for sharing that, is don't take it from the banner. You take it from the chat, because you can copy paste it, so it's probably a little bit easier for you.
No, but on the YouTube, just put the Facebook on, because on the YouTube, the chats won't come up, so that's why. So you can put the Facebook one up, please.
Okay.
Because when this gets posted onto YouTube,
I don't know if we're going to be able to copy it. That's all. So here it is, anyways.
Yeah. So Soulful Living with Andrea. That's the page. So go.
Yeah, the name is changed to just Andrea Gullick now, but Facebook doesn't pick that up. So that was my previous name for my business, whereas I just go by Andrea Gullick now. So, but yeah, same person, just different name.
Cool.
Very good.
Guys.
All right.
Okay. Final words. It was a great episode. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Rich. Any final words, guys?
Thank you.
No. All good.
See you next week.
Go the Blues.
Go the Blues. Okay, guys. I wish you a healthy, well, and safe place right now, and take care of yourself. And until next Tuesday, we'll get back to you soon on some great topics. We're going to bring you, boost some energy into this, some more fun as well, because we want to make it conversational, casual, lots of fun as well while we go through the process. Appreciate it. All the best. Signing out.
See you later.
Bye.